Hey guys, what's up? It's Erica. Welcome back to my channel. A few months ago, I uploaded my most popular video talking about the Stauffers and their decision to give up their adopted son. It was a huge scandal. If you don't know the story, I can give you a little brief background. But Myka and James Stauffer are YouTubers. They have had a family channel for probably like the last 4 or 5 years, and they really gained traction to their channel when they adopted their son Huxley from China. And they documented the whole process going to get him and then bringing him back to the United States. Huxley was diagnosed with autism. After they brought him home, when they were going to China to pick him up, they didn't know a ton of information about him, but there were things being thrown out about possibly missing part of his brain, having a brain cyst, and then I think it turned out that he did have a stroke in utero. I'm not sure the complete medical diagnosis, but something along those lines. When they were going to China, they said that they had an open mind and an open heart to any child with disabilities or special needs and were willing to take on whatever needs Huxley had. After having him for about 2.5 years, they decided to rehome him. They posted a very vague video at the end of May that has now been taken down, describing why they gave Huxley away. Well, not really describing because it was very vague. So they called it an update on their family, and they just said that they had to give Huxley up to another family because of numerous incidents in the home. Super vague, left a lot of things up to interpretation, which I'm guessing they were vague because they really didn't have great reasons. And the only reason that they did make the video was because people were noticing in their family vlogs that Huxley wasn't there and they were concerned about his well-being. I've made 2 videos on this topic, and ever since the whole blow up of everything that happened, and one time Myka posted on her social media about it, there really hasn't been a lot that has come out about the case. And I know myself, and I'm sure a lot of you guys were really invested and wanted to know what happened. I just stumbled across an article, but then I started doing more Googling and found some more information that I did not know about. I wanted to provide an update about everything that happened from what I've been able to find on the internet. So first and foremost, the Ohio Police Department did an investigation. They have confirmed that Huxley is safe and happy with his new mom, or at least the woman that they saw him with. I'm not exactly sure if it actually is his forever home or it's a temporary home for his until he gets a forever home. That I'm not 100% clear on. They ultimately, when they went to see him, there were no signs of abuse and he seemed happy, which I think that's what everyone wanted to hear. Obviously, there's just been a ton of trauma that has been inflicted upon him and not a great situation, but thankfully he is in a safe and happy place. The Stauffers were cleared of any abuse allegations against Huxley or their 4 other biological children. There was an investigation on their home, and they did not see any signs of abuse to Huxley or the other kids. So Huxley has autism, and something that really blew up on the internet was a video where Huxley's thumb was duct taped. And another thing to note is they have a daughter who is like 8 now, and for all the time that they had Huxley, she still sucked her thumb. And Huxley, as a coping mechanism, would suck his thumb, and apparently they duct taped his thumb to keep him from sucking it, which people were really critical of because they have a daughter who's older that's doing it, and so they were like, why aren't you allowing your son to do it, especially if it's a stem or a coping mechanism to make him feel safe. They responded to that in the police investigation, saying that that was a bad judgment call and that they should have paid the $200 for the thumb guard. To me, I feel like putting duct tape on your kid's thumb is way more of a punishment versus like oh, we're just trying to keep you from sucking your thumb. That seems so uncomfortable and unnecessary, and there are so many other things that people do to keep their kids from sucking their thumb. So in the report, they said that Huxley became very overwhelmed with all the kids in the house, and just like being in a family that was so big and having young kids running around, it was very overwhelming for Huxley, which is completely understandable. They did have another son after they adopted Huxley, and I'm not sure if he was planned or not, but to me it seems like if your child is already really overwhelmed with their 3 other siblings and their behavior and just all that energy is very overwhelming to him, I would think that bringing a new baby would be 10 times worse, because all kids have a hard time when there's a new baby into the family. They take all of the attention away from mom and all that stuff. So they reported that Huxley showed severe aggression towards the other kids and that they had to hire someone to watch him to keep the kids safe. I don't know what this aggression looked like. Huxley is like 5 years old. I'm sure that dealing with aggression and tantrums can be extremely exhausting and difficult, and so many things that I can't even imagine. But you know, many people have children who do have autism and are able to figure out what works for their child. I can't imagine being Huxley and experiencing those emotions. Tantrums and anxiety outbursts are all coming from insecure, scared places. I did like a little Google search on autism and aggression, and not all people who have autism are aggressive, but it can be something that is present just because of a lot of social anxiety, general anxiety, and just frustration, especially with Huxley, who was nonverbal. I would be extremely frustrated if I could not say what I wanted to say and just very overwhelmed in your own home. That's a horrible feeling. They would say that he would physically attack the other kids. I don't have a solution to this. I don't know how therapists and doctors would recommend handling this, but I don't think that this is definitely not the first family to go through this, and there are definitely tools and resources out there. They said that for 7 months they had multiple therapists come in their house for 7 hours a day to help Huxley, and that for the last 2 months that they had the therapist there, they said that there was nothing they could do to control his behavior, and it was kind of like a lost cause, which I have a really hard time believing that doctors and therapists would say that. As well as 7 months just doesn't seem like that long for me. I feel like there's so many techniques out there that 7 months gives you time to like try out one technique, but there are hundreds, I'm sure, of strategies and therapies and things that you can do to help people with autism. To me, that just kind of seems like a really bad excuse as to why you give up on your child, because there are so many parents out there who I'm sure have been given horrible news about their child, like their future, their health, whatever, but you don't give up on your kid. I mean, that's why you're a parent. You're supposed to believe in them and like be there for them no matter what. And with these therapies, they said it was extremely expensive and they could no longer afford to continue doing this, which Myka Stauffer has another YouTube channel called Cash Crush, which she revealed that her husband, who has a different channel, Stauffer Garage, how much he made on his video that got 14 million views. Obviously not every video gets 14 million views, and the CPM must have been pretty high on this video, but from this one video he made over $42,000, which is crazy. I mean, I live in California and they live in Ohio, and definitely the cost of living is way more expensive out here in California, and $42,000 can get you a pretty far way here. So I feel like $42,000 for one video of probably the hundreds that their family comes up with within the year. Obviously they're not all making $42,000. And also to keep in mind, the money that people make from YouTube is normally the least amount of money that YouTubers make. They make all their money from affiliate links, brand deals, sponsorships, merch, all that stuff. So if they're making $42,000 from YouTube ad revenue, believe me, they're making so much more off of other things. So again, just a really bad cop-out for why they claimed they couldn't handle Huxley anymore. They also stated that one of their young sons would be in therapy for a long time because of Huxley, which I'm guessing was about their oldest son, Radley. When they did adopt Huxley, Radley definitely did have a difficult time, but the adoption agency did suggest not to adopt out of birth order. And Huxley is, I think, a few months older or maybe a few months younger, but they were basically the same age. So they basically became twins. And the adoption agency warned the Stauffers about how this can be really difficult for kids. And from the beginning, Radley clearly struggled. And then they also stated that one of their daughters said, "I am so happy I don't have to get punched in the head anymore," which, I mean, that's like a really sad thing to say. As much as I'm sure the kids did not appreciate certain outbursts that Huxley had, and I'm sure it was upsetting to the other kids, they didn't include the tears of, "I don't have my brother anymore," because if any of you guys out there have siblings, as much as your siblings can get on your nerves and be frustrating, I mean, this was their brother, and I think that the other kids did genuinely love him. That was their playmate, their friend, their brother. Yeah, that comment is kind of weird to me. I'm guessing that they shared that to kind of prove their point about the aggressive outbursts in their household. I mean, as upsetting as it was uncontrollable for Huxley. He did not have the tools and the resources to control those outbursts of anxiety and anger that were leading to this behavior. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is a point that I would like some feedback on: community versus exploiting your child. Because after this whole scandal came out, a lot of people talked about how the Stauffers had completely exploited the adoption process with Huxley and his whole experience. They had filmed meltdowns and stems and just really personal things. I definitely think that family vloggers exploit their kids and put a lot of things on the internet that I don't think their kids are going to be happy with. Even some of the family vloggers that I've loved and watched for a long time, some videos even make me uncomfortable to watch, because it's just weird to watch like little kids and feel like it's such like a personal part of their life and that their parents are just putting it on YouTube. But I also do think that YouTube can be a place to share, and figuring out a balance of sharing experiences and ways to help other people without exploiting your children in situations. As much as the Stauffers did exploit Huxley, I also think that when parents do sometimes post struggles and things that are going on in their kids' lives, it can be encouraging to other families, and they can have resources and people reach out to them with like, "Hey, this is a therapy technique that I've used," and random stuff like that. So I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about that. So that's basically the update that I got, and I just wanted to share it with you guys since I have made other videos talking about it and just didn't want to leave it without giving people some more follow-up. If I find out more information, I will make another video, but ultimately, hopefully, Huxley is safe and happy and flourishing in his new family. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.